begin with the Amber Guyger trial, where the jury is now deliberating. Thank you for joining us at 4:30. I'm Gilma Avalos.
And I'm Ken Molestina. After 7 days of testimony and arguments, the sides rested their case earlier today.
Day 7 of the Amber Guyger trial wrapped with closing arguments and instructions to the jury, who will now determine whether Amber Guyger committed murder or manslaughter, or if she's not guilty for the death of Botham Jean. The defense argued the former DPD officer reacted reasonably, thinking Jean was an intruder when she mistook his apartment for hers and shot him. The prosecution all along arguing a series of mistakes on Guyger's part all amounted to murder.
But she is not a reasonable person. She was not thinking like a reasonable person that day.
The state of Texas finds it absolutely unreasonable that a person could do something like that and just say, whoops, my bad, and then go on about her life.
The defense reminded jurors the state has the burden of proving their case beyond a reasonable doubt, and they accused prosecutors of playing on emotions and failing to prove their case.
There is tremendous public pressure in a case like this, but I'll caution you, you as jurors have to ignore that, and that's very hard, because people are upset about this case.
Every single one of you has the power to say not guilty if the state did not prove this case beyond a reasonable doubt.
All right, so joining us now here in studio is trial attorney James Bell, who's been following this case closely with us today. First and foremost, let's talk a little bit about the difference between murder and manslaughter, because we learned today that that's also an option that the jury can consider. What are the differences here?
Sure. Murder is a willful or deliberate killing, whereas manslaughter, the burden or the mental intent is a little bit lower, and it can be reckless. So if you're reckless, you can be convicted of manslaughter.
Okay. And in this case so far, based on what you've seen, we know that the case is now in the jury's hands. But did the state do a good enough job of proving murder?
In my opinion, the answer would be no. I believe that nobody knew what happened that night, and based on the testimony that we saw, the state didn't meet the burden of proof.
Right. In the cases that you've tried, obviously you have a lot of experience dealing with some of these high-profile cases. How much do you think of this public pressure, this court of public opinion that we've talked about so much, how much of this, in fact, do you think made it to the jury, even if they were sequestered, even if they have been kept away from all of this? Some might assume that they got wind of at least a little bit of this?
I think that in and of itself, being sequestered, it probably draws more of attention as a juror about what's going on the outside world. Of course, the public pressure was at play here, was at stake, and part of the jury selection was trying to weed out some of the jurors that would let public pressure affect their judgment.
Right. And again, based on your experience, we now sit and wait. We're all, really pins and needles to see what the outcome of this is going to be. But what do we know now about waiting on a verdict? The longer it takes, what could that potentially signify?
That the jurors are actually back there fighting, and you don't have unanimous votes on particular charges. You know, you've got a murder charge that went back. You also know that a manslaughter charge went back. The longer that the jurors are back there, I believe one would think that there's some holdouts.
Sure. I got to ask you, if this does not go in the favor of the defense, just based on what we've seen from the beginning of the trial, it got off to a rocky start with some controversy early on. The district attorney giving a public interview about the case, a motion for a mistrial before it even began. We saw that the judge, there was some eye rolling on behalf of Judge Tammy Kemp as well towards the defense. Are all of these things that could potentially work in favor of the defense should this not turn out in their favor, and should they choose to appeal this?
I don't know about the comment from the district attorney. I don't think that weighed on the jury, considering the fact that they were sequestered. But sure, anytime a judge is sitting, several feet above a bunch of jurors, and if they're rolling their eyes or making movements, that can definitely have an effect. And oh, by the way, you don't know what hand gestures or size are made when the jurors go in and out of the deliberation room.
Right. And we did talk about this before because the prosecution, when they did cross-examine Amber Guyger, they asked her about her intent when she pulled out the gun, when she shot Botham Jean. They asked, was your intent to kill him? And she said yes. Let's talk a little bit about why that is so important to point out as a response on her part and what the jury could have essentially taken from that. We know that police officers, they shoot to kill, essentially. That's what they're trained to do.
That's right. I mean, and the question becomes, what was her intent? 30 seconds leading up to the door. What was she thinking when the door was open?
Right.
What happened when she got in the apartment? I mean, it's kind of was obviously there was no premeditation, no deliberate action. But when a police officer draws their gun, they draw their gun to shoot and to kill.
Right. And that is, under the state's definition of murder, a very specific sort of a measure that they have to get to, correct, to prove the intent.
That's right. But you also have defenses where if it's a mistake of fact, or if she's in the, if it's in self-defense, if somebody's approaching her, then even though she's got the intent to kill, that intent is negated by the defense of the castle doctrine, where you don't have a duty to retreat out of your own house.
All right. Well, we will, again, wait to see what happens. Of course, this is now in the jury's hands, this could take a couple of days, right?
I didn't bring my crystal ball, but my gut is the day after tomorrow.
Day after tomorrow. Okay. We will wait and see. Mr. Bell, thanks so much for taking the time to come in here once again to chat with us about it. A lot of nuances to get into in this case. Appreciate it. Gilma?